Hello, and welcome to the Meditation Center's Metaphysical Lesson. Today's lesson is called In Divine Order, and it's inspired by Psalm 104, verse 19, which reads, "The moon marks off the seasons, and the sun knows when to go down." There's a phrase we use a lot. Everything is in divine order, whether we can see it or not. Sometimes it sounds like a cliche, but there's a deep meaning in it. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the drama in our lives, which makes us forget that what we are experiencing isn't permanent. Challenges come and go, and we navigate through them, moving upward and onward, overtaking them in the process. Money gets tight, a loved one dies, long hours at work. The news scares the heck out of us. Discord among family and friends. Or someone does something that seems unfair. Our challenges can manifest in many ways. Some people seem to do better than others in handling them. Why do some folks seem to just breeze through these things, while others become nearly paralyzed? The difference is in how we look at them and how we respond to them. I think one of the shortcomings of our society is that it focuses so much on marketing department-inspired concepts of happiness and the, quote, American dream. So unrealistic that it seems to ignore how to handle the obstacles that come in between. Instead of preparing us to face adversity with resilience and faith, we're often taught to seek comfort or at least avoid discomfort at all costs. We often end up hiding from our challenges instead of facing them. Sometimes we need to be reminded that growth usually happens when we work through our struggles, learning valuable lessons along the way. By trusting that there's a greater order at play, we can find peace, even during times of uncertainty, knowing that every challenge has the potential to guide us to a higher level of understanding and appreciation. So what is divine order? In religious circles, it might be referred to as God's plan or providence. To me, it just means that the universe is designed to operate a certain way, and everything happens within that framework, no matter how chaotic or unpleasant it may seem to us. Every situation, every person, every deed serves a purpose, which teaches us and inspires us. Everything happens just as it was meant to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen, right? It may be a hard pill to swallow because some of our challenges can seem downright awful, and they rarely meet our expectations. But within those challenges are little nuggets of truth and awareness that can teach and inspire us. It's hard to find a so-called bad situation that doesn't have some good that comes out of it sooner or later. There's always a reason to give thanks, even if it's just for a lesson in what not to do. The Meditation Center's journey over the past few years serves as a good example of this. As you may know, our original building was taken by eminent domain for a road safety project that is now in the preparation stage for construction. We weren't really surprised when we heard that our building wouldn't survive the process. We understood the importance of the safety improvements that would be happening, and we were at peace with the change. We even encouraged it. Even though other folks regularly expressed concern about what was going to happen to the Meditation Center, we knew and recognized that everything was in divine order and that a path forward would be revealed. Not everyone could see it that way, so it ended up that other people were a lot more upset than we were about the change that was coming. We asked them to trust in the process, just as we were doing. It's all in divine order, and it will work out just fine. Well, the day came when we were told that we would have to leave. That was the day we got the phone call about the building that would become our new home, a story of divine order in itself. Meanwhile, the Department of Transportation made an offer on the property, and we were disappointed that they found no value in our beautiful little building, so we exercised our right to challenge it. But in divine order, the initial amount they came up with provided the exact funds we needed to acquire our new and better space nearby, just as we knew it would. It was in divine order. Of course, we had to make temporary arrangements to hold classes at a local church, but we knew that would work out well too. Turns out the folks at the church were happy to have the space in use instead of sitting there empty during the week, and we had a safe, comfortable place to meet, another expression of divine order. Over time, we tried to work with the Department of Transportation to negotiate a more agreeable outcome to the condemnation process we were going through. The process dragged on, but the world kept turning, life kept progressing, and our discussions pretty much got nowhere. Lawyers got involved, court dates were scheduled and rescheduled, and still nothing happened. It just wasn't time yet. Finally, we had our day. Unlike in the beginning, the process was becoming stressful. More accurately, I was making it stressful by the way I was responding to the situation and my resulting frustration. The attorneys for the Department of Transportation worked hard to minimize our arguments. They dwelled on little details that weren't really relevant, but those details provided a distraction from the actual purpose of our being there. Some of those little details got stuck in my head, and I was worried that they would get in the heads of the people deciding the case, too. I was up at night having imaginary arguments with imaginary people about trivial details that I didn't need to remember or even care about. I had fallen for the bait, and I found myself doing exactly what I had asked others not to do. I wasn't practicing what I preached. Finally, a wise man had to remind me that the outcome was going to be whatever it was meant to be, and just like it was in the beginning, it would be okay one way or another. Well, the answer came, and you know what? It came out exactly as it was meant to be. A panel of fellow citizens saw past the distractions and contradictions and the odd justifications for valuing a functioning building as worthless, and awarded what they deemed to be a fair amount. And it was perfectly in divine order. It never wasn't. The only thing that changed was my state of mind. And once I was able to let the chatter go, I freed myself from having to worry about it at all. The outcome was going to be what it came out to be, worry or not. What changed was the way I responded to it. The entire process took more than 6 years. But even that lengthy time period happened for a reason, though I'm still not sure what that reason was. And maybe I don't need to know, because in the end, it doesn't really make a difference. I'm grateful for the lesson of patience, the lesson of acceptance, and perhaps the most important lesson, to trust in the process, no matter how off the rails it seemed to get. It was all a lesson in divine order. I knew I could be grateful no matter the outcome, even if it was just to give thanks that it was all over. Our scripture reference, "The moon marks off the seasons, and the sun knows when to go down," reminds us to appreciate the lessons in all of this. Our universe, the stars, planets, and moons work in a pattern of cycles, cycles that are dependable. They always work the same way, giving us comfort and providing tools that we can use to mark time. The earth rotates every day, providing us with periods of light and dark by which we measure the passage of time. Every day, the sun rises and sets, and we learn new lessons. We grow in age, and we grow in consciousness with every turn. The moon revolves around the earth every 29 and a half days. It's the basis for the months in our calendar. 3 of these cycles mark the progression of one of our seasons, symbols of birth, life, death, and rebirth in our life. In addition to marking the passage of time, these cycles also teach us about order, everything working exactly the way the infinite intelligence of the universe intended for it to be, in a generally predictable way. And just like the daily rotation of the Earth on its annual journey around the sun, we know that everything that we experience has a purpose and a time. As the book of Ecclesiastes and the popular song Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds both confirm, for every day there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Even when we resist it, we are learning lessons and growing in consciousness. One of our principles reminds us that we create our own happiness or unhappiness based on how we work with or against the laws by which the universe operates. When we fight them, we get frustrated. When we accept our journey and go with the flow, we find more contentment, even if it doesn't always meet our expectations. To me, that is the essence of divine order, and it's something for which we can be grateful. Here's another example that's close to my heart. As I mentioned earlier, it seems that some people manage to work through their challenges almost effortlessly, while others get overwhelmed by them. And the difference is in the way we respond to them. One situation that emphasizes this concept is death. Some people look at it practically, others with resentment, and yet others with despair. The day my mother turned 82, my aunt, her sister, called her to wish her a happy birthday. To mark the occasion, my aunt adeptly reminded my mom, "You know, Mother died when she was 82. Some birthday wish, huh? Just so happens, a couple of months later, my mom started having trouble breathing. She hated dealing with doctors, but after some difficult reflection and contemplation, she reluctantly went to the hospital and found out that she had inoperable lung cancer. She refused any treatment and was immediately placed in a hospice-at-home program. It was hard to accept that my mom didn't want treatment. This was the woman who was famous for worrying herself sick over possibilities that never happened. But that day, we saw a resolve in her that was rare. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she had no doubts about any of it. We would have been okay with her living forever, but she, and we, knew her quality of life was quickly deteriorating. She had lived a full life and had made peace with the idea that her time was coming to an end. As much as we didn't want to see it happen, it would have been even harder to argue with her or to fight a process dictated by nature. Even with treatment, there would be no guarantees, and it could be a lot more uncomfortable for all of us. This was her decision, and we had to honor her prerogative and find peace in a situation that we couldn't change. In the following weeks, her symptoms became bad enough that she had to be moved into a nearby hospice facility. The next day, the lights went out. Her body was still going, but she had checked out consciously. She made her transition 9 days later. By the end, we were telling her it was okay for her to let go, as her body stubbornly held on to the little life it had left. In effect, we were pushing her out the door. Her journey of death was a lesson in life. It was a lesson in divine order, even if we didn't want to believe it. It happened exactly when it was meant to and as it was meant to, despite my aunt's callous prognostications and our resistance. Our mother was no longer present in body, but in her presence, we learned to see and accept death as a natural part of life, to even welcome it when it was clear that it was time. And she was able to leave with the dignity and peace that is rare in a society that encourages us to fear and run from death. She was a special woman who persevered through a lifetime of pinnacles and challenges, and who never stopped teaching me lessons, even when she didn't know what was happening, right up to the very end. And may her experience be a lesson to you. You can live your life worrying about the possibilities, or you can accept what comes your way with dignity and strength, even if it isn't always comfortable, and even if it isn't what you bargained for. Everything is in divine order, whether you can see it or not. Don't believe me? Think back on your life and tell me one thing, just one thing, that you haven't survived. You have survived them all, and you will again and again, every time. And every one of those experiences has, does, and will teach you valuable lessons you will carry with you always. Regardless of what you're going through, trust in the process, however long it takes, and wherever it takes you, and all will be in divine order. Namaste. For additional lessons and meditation ideas, visit our website at www.meditatewnc.org. Thank you for joining us.